Welcome to the Roberts Family Living Room Theater. I'd like to remind you all of a few housekeeping rules. The bathroom is down the hall to your left. Please remember to wash your hands and wear your mask, unless of course you are watching this as a broadcast. I know this pandemic might have you feeling bereft, but relax and take a seat wherever is most convenient for you. Today's performance is brought to you by the amateur actors of the Roberts household. I am your director and narrator, Julia Roberts. You might remember my work on the prequel to Romeo and Juliet from earlier this year and singing on my patio theater. The esteemed William Shakespeare will be played by the eldest of my three younger brothers, James Roberts. Finally, Benny Boy Ben Jonson will be played by my middle brother, Joshua Roberts. The following production is a fictitious reenactment of what might have actually happened if Jonson saw Shakespeare's King Lear before he wrote Volpone. There are actual incidents in the two plays that are similar, and it is at this point that the possibility of conscious parody occurs. We shall see what inspirations the playwrights bring us tonight. Between the two of them, I am sure it is to be a sight. So without further ado, let the show commence. Our narrator is up next to set the stage and pretense. The stage is reset and the curtain is closed. Another successful socially distanced performance of King Lear is disclosed. Ben Jonson was amongst the crowd tonight, feeling particularly inspired by the events which transpired. He felt a sudden spark of sensational creativity that left most people wondering what had him in a tizzy. Now luck yet send us, and a little wit will serve to make our play a hit. According to the palates of the season, here is rhyme, not empty of reason. This we were bid to credit from our poet, whose true scope, if you would know it, in all his poems still hath been this measure, to mix profit with your pleasure. And not as some, whose throats their envy failing, cry coarsely, all he writes is railing. And when his plays come forth, think they can flout them, with saying he was a year about them. Benny has just finished watching this play for the first time since the theaters reopened, and of course, dearest Bill always knows how to punch the audience right in the gut. Benny decided that he had to make a comedic version of this tragedy. The following conversation is what might have happened if the two men met each other at a local pub after the performance.
Benny, what a pleasant surprise. Did you enjoy the Benny?
Bill, I apologize for not seeing you sooner. I have just had the greatest revelation. Let me finish one final thought. I must talk with you about your latest work.
Thank you. Take your time, good pal. There's plenty of time for discussion. It seems you've caused quite the commotion. Do you feel you've had a breakthrough because of my play?
Bill, your play was brilliant, but I must admit, it was a tad too melancholy for my taste. And breakthrough? Bill, I've had a revelation.
Isn't that the way you feel about all my plays, Benny? And a revelation? It must be serious if you're using language like that.
'Tis true, 'tis true. You and I both know I prefer my comedies, especially at a time like this, in the spring of 2021, where the pandemic is still raging on. I must admit, it was just so nice to have a live theater back. As much as I enjoyed streaming plays through Zoom, there is nothing like experiencing a performance in person.
I am just impressed. Everyone was willing to see the show with all of the CDC guidelines that are in place. I would have thought people would have been upset about the waiting list or the distancing protocols. We've had a socially distanced full house for the past 3 nights, and I know if Prince Harry could have his way, he would come and see it every day. The royal family does love their plays.
Indeed they do. Tell me, Bill, what was your inspiration for the fool? He seems so rational for a jester.
A fox, when one has caught her, and such a daughter, should sure to the slaughter. If my cap would be a halter, so the fool follows after.
A fox! Why didn't I think of that before? He will be my main character. Volpone, My comedy is shaping up to be an even better play than yours. What do you say, Bill?
I often wonder what goes on in that head of his. One would think he's gone mad. Just because you write plays doesn't mean they are better than my tragedies, and you know it. The audience relates to what I write. Now more than ever, they want to feel seen.
Nonsense! The audience wants an escape, which is exactly why when my comedy is ready for the fall 2021 season, the public won't know what hit them.
You speak with such haste. Don't drink the wine before it has a chance to breathe for a pace.
Fine, fine. I am curious. And you must tell me how you decided upon the same actor playing the youngest daughter. And the fool! Talk about a real plot twist. Did you intend for Cordelia to always be the fool?
Sure. Little does he know, they were simply played by the same actor due to a quarantine snafu. Let's go with that.
Well, I am thinking of an animistic approach. It will help the audience forget the impending doom that continues to encroach.
As long as you give credit where credit is due, 45% of the gate sounds like a fair trade for the inspiration.
Who's the ungrateful fox now?
And just like that, the moment is gone. One may never know whether this portrayal is right or wrong. There is only one thing that can be for certain. We must, mark it, nuncle, have more than thou showest, speak less than thou knowest, lend less than thou owest, learn more than thou trowest, and set less than thou throwest. The seasoning of a play is the applause. Now, though the fox be punished by the laws, he yet doth hope there is no suffering due for any fact which he hath done gainst you. If there be, censure him, here he doubtful stands. If not, fare jovially, and clap your hands. Benny and Bill have been in a bit of a friendly competition to see who was the better playwright, which I think we all know the answer to that one, right? Only the fool produces something like Jonson's quick, dazzling dialogue, but look behind the apparent comedy to the satirical foundation of the play, and you will see some of the treachery and familial dysfunction that mark Shakespeare's play, and the heart of both errs in pursuit of an inheritance. In turn, it must be remembered that all of the work here today is entirely fictional. If we shadows have offended, think but this, all is mended, that you have been but slumbered here, while these visions did appear. This has been the hypothetical explanation of how Ben Jonson's Volpone and William Shakespeare's King Lear appear to be so similar.